Hey, Mama. So, if you've been told that the fastest way to monetize a podcast is through podcast sponsorships, and that should be your goal for your podcast, I hate to break it to you, but that advice is thoroughly wrong. There are a few podcasting myths out there that may be holding you back from launching your podcast. If it's on your heart to start a podcast for your business, I want you to go into it with accurate information. So I'm going to be shedding some light on these podcasting myths today. Also, if you know you are ready to launch a podcast and you want to leverage podcasting as part of your lead generation and visibility strategy, join me for the next round of the 7-day pod launch Get It Done week. We get started on April 22nd. The waitlist is currently open, and those who join the waitlist get access to exclusive bonuses. So head on over to momaturnedmompreneur.com/get it done waitlist to join the waitlist now. All right, let's jump into today's episode. Hey, Mama. Are you tired of feeling stressed and overwhelmed trying to grow your online business with your babies at home? You desire more flexibility in your day, allowing you to pour into your family, yourself, and your business without running yourself into the ground. Mama, you can build your dream business and do it in a way that fits your current season of life. And I'm going to show you exactly how. Welcome to the Mama Turned Mompreneur podcast. I'm your host, Andria Singletary, daughter of the king, wife, mama of two, and life and business coach for mompreneurs. On this podcast, you will learn business strategies made for mamas just like you, who desire to be successful CEOs and fully present mamas without stress or overwhelm. So whether you're an entrepreneur who transitioned to a mompreneur or a mama turned mompreneur, I am here to support you. So grab your coffee, notebook, and pen, put in those earbuds, and let's dig in. All right, before we jump into today's episode, I don't know if you guys saw what number episode it is, but I just gotta celebrate that I have hit 150 episodes. I am so shocked. 150 episodes in, and honestly, I have no plans of slowing down anytime soon. Podcasting is my favorite way to create content. And as long as I'm still running a business, I'm going to have this podcast. So I just had to just celebrate that because it's huge, y'all. But let's get into today's topic. We're going to be busting some podcasting myths in this episode. Not only will I be breaking down, 4 of the most common podcasting myths I see, but I'm also going to be shedding some insight into why these are myths, false beliefs, and what you should be doing instead. So the first myth that I see put out there a lot in the podcasting space is that the fastest way to monetize is through podcast sponsorships and affiliate marketing. Now, I honestly believe that this myth came about from hobby podcasters. One of the things that you will hear from, quite a few podcasters is that they started their podcast originally to connect with others on a specific life event. They usually have experienced some type of major life transition that either really moved them or changed them in such an impactful way. And so that they got to the point where they wanted to share this experience with others in a way to create this sense of community. And so as they continued with their podcasting journey, they quickly discovered that, the time commitment that comes with podcasting and really just wanted to probably start outsourcing certain aspects of their podcast and start, generating income from this labor of love because it really is a labor of love. But because they started it usually as, they probably didn't think of it as a hobby, but how they went about it, it became a hobby and not really coming at it from a business standpoint. They look to, podcast sponsorships and affiliate marketing as a way to monetize their podcasts. And so I just want to say podcast sponsorships or even affiliate marketing are not the quickest ways to monetize because they do take time. When it comes to podcast sponsorships, they are often based on audience size and download numbers. But there's also those podcasts that like they have to be super, super niche, like a very, very specific audience, and they're like one of the only podcasts in that niche. They can get easily, podcast sponsorships. But it's like you really have to demonstrate that you have an engaged audience that trusts you, that's like actually going to, buy the thing that you're promoting on your podcast. Unless, like I said, you're in like a super, super micro niche that not a lot of people are in, it's going to take you time to grow your audience large enough to start getting those major podcast sponsorships. So that's just the reality of sponsorships. And then when it comes to affiliate marketing, it's similar to podcast sponsorships in that you have to grow a large audience who is engaged and really like they're going to purchase or opt into the things that you are, an affiliate for, that you're marketing on your podcast. And you want to, like, you have to have a large enough or engaged audience in order to actually earn a decent amount from that affiliate marketing. Not to say, again, that it can't be done, but it does take longer. Like, you have to grow a larger audience and you have to earn that trust and really make sure that they are engaged, that they're going to invest in the things that you're promoting on your podcast. Now, this is different when it comes to, you marketing your own offers and services. So if you go back to like thinking about podcast sponsorships and affiliate marketing, those prices are usually set. With the sponsorships, like you can negotiate and different things like that. But with an affiliate marketing, you're only going to earn a percentage of each purchase. But when you're promoting your own offers and your services, you get the full amount that you set for your offers and your services. So whatever the price is, the investment is for your program, your, whatever you're selling that is yours, you're getting that full amount. And that's how it's different, but also too, when your audience, they're coming to like listen to you and different things like that, they're earning your trust. They're seeing you as the go-to person in your industry. And so they want to invest in you. They want to work with you. They want to learn from you. So you directing them to some other affiliates that you have is not the same thing. And then again, podcast sponsorships is a completely different ballpark there. Usually those sponsorships, that money you get from that, that's going to go back into the podcast, managing it and different things like that. So instead of focusing, on growing your audience to land podcast sponsorships or to start making money solely from affiliate marketing, monetize your podcast with your own offers. Like I said, strategy is so much quicker than seeking out sponsorships or, doing the affiliate marketing on your podcast because your listeners trust you. And you don't have to wait until you reach a certain podcasting milestone before you can start leveraging this. You literally can start monetizing your podcast with your own offers from the beginning. You just have to promote them on your podcast. You don't have to wait until you've hit so many downloads and you have so many listeners and different things like that. So monetize with your own offers. Start there. This isn't to say that you never should or can't do like sponsorships or, affiliate marketing. I include links to different softwares and memberships that I'm a part of, that I'm an affiliate for in my podcast description. Every week, you'll see links to those different things. Now, do I actively promote all of those things on my podcast? Not all the time. If I'm talking about them on a specific episode, yeah, I'll mention it and say that the link is in the episode description, but that's not my primary focus. Every week you guys tune into this podcast, I'm promoting either one of my paid offers or one of my freebies because this is my platform. I'm using this to build my business. So I'm going to promote my stuff because that's why you guys are tuning in. You're tuning in to learn from me. And so I'm sharing this valuable content, giving you these strategies and different things like that. And so the next step would be for you to invest in working with me so that way we can create an individualized plan for you, whether that is for one-on-one coaching or you joining the 7-day pod launch get it done week. So that's myth number one. I had to go in on that one because that one I see all the time and it really gets under my skin. Myth number two, you must have a video podcast in order to have a successful podcast. No, you don't. This myth honestly came from the explosion of like video content and video marketing. And, with YouTube being so popular and being a search engine in and of itself, people feel this pressure to launch their podcast as a video podcast. Now, I want to say this. There's nothing wrong with video podcasts. Like, you definitely can have one. But if that is holding you back from starting your podcast, you don't need to start with that. You can have a wildly successful podcast without having a video podcast. When podcasts first became a thing, they were audio only content. In fact, if you Google the word podcast, the definition in and of itself is audio only format, audio only content. So you don't have to have a video podcast, or you don't have to start off with one. Your podcasting success is not determined by whether or not you have your podcast on YouTube. There are many successful podcasts that aren't video podcasts. Most podcasters, when they start out with audio only first and then get onto YouTube later on. You don't have to do both, especially if you don't have the capacity for it. Like, video, adding in that component, it's a whole new level of things. You have to have, a decent background. You have to make sure you're looking good lighting, all of the things. If you don't have the capacity to do that, you don't have to start out that way. And so instead of focusing on creating a video podcast, you need to focus on creating content that resonates with your target audience, leveraging SEO so that your podcast is searchable. And this applies to both the audio format or audio only format and, having a video podcast. You have to focus on SEO. And then also focusing on getting your podcast in front of the right people. If you do want to have your podcast on YouTube, you can actually do that without having to record video. All you have to do is create a thumbnail image, and you can use something like it's called Headliner app. It's what I use to publish my podcast, my audio only podcast to YouTube. But it will auto post your podcast to YouTube for you. And like I said, this is what I currently do. Now, truthfully, I haven't seen significant results from doing this, but I also know I'm not leveraging the video, the actual video component. And so I don't expect that. But I will say this, for the first time, I actually had someone find my podcast on YouTube, and it showed that, because I track my analytics, and it showed that from YouTube, they visited my website. That's huge. That's like a new lead for me right there. So you can do that, but again, you don't have to. It's not going to impact the success of your podcast. Okay, myth number 3. You need a large audience before you can launch your podcast. No, you don't. This myth most likely came from seeing some of the big name podcasters and believing that if you don't hit that level of success on your podcast launch, then your podcast, that's not working for you. And the thing is that if you listen to, some of these podcaster stories, like when they share how they got started and everything, they didn't start with a large audience. It took them years to hit the 1 million downloads and different things like that. And so you don't have to wait until you have a large audience to start your podcast. The reason why is that podcasting is a visibility and lead generation strategy when it's done correctly. You can use your podcast to actively grow your audience. I have grown my audience significantly, grown my community significantly through my podcast, and I've been able to work with some of the most amazing women who have found me directly through my podcast. And so instead of focusing on, growing your audience before you launch your podcast to grow your audience. This is one of the core areas we focus on during the 7-day pod launch Get It Done week. We really focus on leveraging SEO for searchability and creating content that will attract our ideal clients. I literally teach you how to do keyword research and where to apply those keywords for searchability purposes. Like, you get all of that. You get access to such amazing resources in the Get It Done week. So that way you can effectively grow your audience, but grow your audience with the right people. All right, so now we're on to the last myth. Myth number 4. You have to hit a major milestone, so like 6 figures in your business, before you can launch your podcast. No, you don't have to do that, mama. Similar to like myth number 3, this myth stems from seeing many of the successful podcasters also being 6 and 7 figure business owners. The reality is that many of these business owners use their podcast as part of their marketing strategy to support them with hitting those major milestones in their businesses. They didn't wait until they reached a certain level before they launched their podcast. And I'm going to link the episode, but the main thing when it comes to launching a podcast, you just want to make sure you have a validated offer and you're clear on who you're serving and how you're serving them. I have an episode coming out later this month where I'm going to really dive into how to sign, high ticket clients from your podcast. So like 4-figure and up clients from your podcast. And so I will be sharing a little bit more about my income framework, which I teach you during the Get It Done week and really show you how to apply that to your podcast. So that way you are, hitting those goals and everything. And your podcast is really supporting you with growing your business. So you don't have to wait until you've reached a certain level of success if you know you are called to start a podcast. Podcasting is one of the most powerful ways to find your people, your tribe, the people you are called to serve and support. And so you waiting to hit publish on your podcast is literally delaying them from connecting with you. And they need you. They need what you have to offer. They need your services and your support. And so you don't need to delay it. You don't need to wait until you hit the significant milestone before you can start putting your voice out into the world to make that impact. All right, mama. So those were the 4 major podcasting myths that I've seen, being spread in the online space. If any of these false beliefs have been holding you back from launching your podcast, I really hope that today's episode freed you from that. And if those truths that I shared about podcasting in this episode has motivated you to hit publish on your podcast, come and join me for the next round of the 7-day pod launch Get It Done week. In 1 week, we are going to set you up for podcast launch success and develop a personalized strategy so you can use your podcast to grow your business. So head on over to mamaturnedmompreneur.com/get it done waitlist to get on the waitlist. Those on the waitlist get access to exclusive bonuses and will get to grab their spot before I open this up to the public. Now, there are only 10 spots available for this round of the Get It Done week, so don't miss out. Don't continue to delay hitting publish on your podcast. All right, mama, I will catch you in the next episode. Well, mama, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to hang with me. If you enjoyed today's episode, will you do me a favor and follow the podcast and leave a review? Hitting that follow button and sharing your thoughts about the podcast are the best ways to ensure that other mamas like you find this show. Your review also lets me know if you're enjoying this podcast, so make sure to share your thoughts before you go. All right, mama, I'll catch you in the next episode.